What would make a world-renowned gospel legend? A man who built a church from the ground up, inspired millions through music, and turned personal tragedy into triumph, suddenly pack up and move. For years, Bishop Marvin Sapp has been one of the most respected figures in gospel music. But behind his decision to relocate lies a story few truly understand. Was it divine direction, personal pain, or something much deeper? Today that truth begins to unfold. Bishop Marvin Sapp's name carries weight. From chart-topping songs like Never Would Have Made It to sermons that have touched lives across the world, he built a legacy rooted in faith and resilience. So when news broke that he was leaving the city he'd called home for decades, people were stunned. This wasn't a small adjustment. It was a life-shifting move that sent waves through both the gospel music industry and the church community. To understand the decision, you have to understand the man behind it. Marvin Sapp's rise wasn't overnight. It was a journey marked by faith, heartbreak, transformation, and relentless perseverance. Born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, he began singing at 4 years old in the church choir. Even early on, he carried a sound that blended traditional gospel soul with modern emotional depth, something that reached far beyond church walls. Before his solo career, he was already known as a member of the iconic group Commissioned, a cornerstone in shaping contemporary gospel music. But Sapp's legacy isn't only musical. His life became a testimony of strength. When his wife, Dr. Melinda Sapp, passed away in 2010 after battling colon cancer, the world watched him cling to faith through unimaginable loss. Left to raise 3 children alone, he balanced grief, ministry, and fatherhood. His music during that time wasn't just art. It was therapy, survival, and ministry wrapped into melody. Songs like The Best in Me and My Testimony carried pieces of his personal pain and healing. Meanwhile, his work as a pastor grew. He founded Lighthouse Full Life Center Church in Grand Rapids and became not only a gospel artist but a spiritual leader. His congregation saw him live out the same faith he preached. Yet even with the success, the packed services, and the accolades, something was shifting internally. Friends noticed a restlessness. He talked often about expanding his reach, stepping into new territory, and sensing God pulling him toward something greater. Grand Rapids held both his greatest blessings and his deepest wounds. It was home, but it was also a constant reminder of the life he'd lost. Over time, it became clear he was preparing for a new chapter. The idea of leaving wasn't sudden. It was a slow, prayerful process unfolding behind the scenes. So when he finally announced he was moving, the reactions were intense. Some people were heartbroken, others were supportive, and many were confused. Why would a man so deeply rooted in his community suddenly walk away? Rumors spread. Fame, finances, internal tensions, but Sapp never entertained gossip. He simply emphasized what he always had. God's assignment doesn't stay in one place forever. His destination surprised many. Fort Worth, Texas, a city filled with spiritual energy, artistic culture, and a thriving gospel community. For Sapp, it wasn't just a move. It was a rebirth. He established a new branch of Lighthouse Full Life Center there, once again building from the ground up. But starting over wasn't easy. He was stepping into a new audience, a new environment, and a new ministry culture. People wondered whether he could recreate the same impact outside of Michigan. Sapp moved forward with authenticity. He spoke openly about the challenges, adjusting to a new city, being far from family and old friends, and balancing ministry with music. But he believed obedience to God was worth discomfort. And over time, people noticed a shift in him. His sermons focused more on transition, transformation, and trusting God's timing. His message evolved. Elevation sometimes requires separation. The move also aligned with his expanding influence. Texas provided more visibility, new opportunities, and access to a broader entertainment market. It wasn't just about preaching or singing. It was about mentoring new leaders, launching new programs, and widening his reach. But the new chapter brought struggles too. Building trust in a new community takes time. Not everyone embraced him immediately. Some compared his Texas ministry to his Michigan church. Others questioned his motives. Still, Sapp continued with quiet confidence, believing that if God calls you to a new season, He also equips you for it. As his ministry grew, those close to him noticed something even deeper happening. Texas gave him peace he hadn't fully experienced since losing his wife. Away from the memories tied to Grand Rapids, he found room to breathe, heal, laugh again, and rediscover Marvin the man, not just Bishop Sapp the legend. But with success came scrutiny. Critics resurfaced, suggesting the move was financially or strategically motivated. Some believed he wanted a bigger platform. Others whispered about behind-the-scenes challenges in Michigan. But Sapp never indulged the chatter. He continued preaching, building, and letting his work speak for itself. The truth is, both things can be real. It was a spiritual move and it was strategic. Calling and wisdom aren't opposites. Sapp has always blended faith with intentional planning. His relocation wasn't a retreat, it was repositioning. Yet with every new beginning comes new questions. And as his Texas ministry grew, whispers began again. People wanted to know if everything behind the scenes was as smooth as it looked. Because behind every public triumph, there's a story unfolding in private. And that's where things start to get truly interesting.